Today I want to talk to you about the fear of motherhood and why I believe you should not fear motherhood. I know so many young women that are afraid of becoming mothers for so many different reasons. I have someone close to me that was afraid of becoming a mother and because of that waited 7 years to have their first child because they were so afraid of what motherhood would look like and that it would take over their life. I think there's so many negative messages out there that one, you have to give up your career or you're going to totally change or you're not going to like who you are. You're going to lose yourself. There are women that lose themselves and don't like who they are and have a hard time with motherhood, but it definitely does not have to be that way, and it has not been my experience. I became a mother almost a year ago. My son is 11 months old. Motherhood is not easy. I think sometimes it's because women talk about how not easy and challenging motherhood can be. A lot of young women take that as they don't see the fulfilling side, because the thing is, it's easy to complain, but a lot of people do not also brag about how incredible being a mother is. And being a mother is incredible. It's funny because I tell people all the time, I'm like, my postpartum was easy, all this stuff was easy, and it really, none of it was easy. It's just that I had such negative expectations for what motherhood would look like that it was not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, so it didn't seem that bad. I thought I was gonna have terrible postpartum depression, which some women have. A lot of people have bad experiences, and I think we hear the bad experiences and assume that it's all bad. I ended up in the ICU when my son was 5 weeks postpartum. That was really horrible and hard. I would never wish that on my worst enemy. It was horrible to be away from my baby. It was horrible to wake up in the hospital and know that I nearly died and that I could have died easily, and if my husband hadn't called 911, I definitely would have died. There was nothing I could do about it. That was really scary, that I could have left my son and never see him again. Because I have faith, and this is so important. If you do not have faith in God, I want you right now, pray to God right now and ask him to give you faith. Repeat that prayer until you start receiving faith, because faith is such a gift and God will give you something if you ask for it. God is very patient. God is a gentleman. God's not going to force himself on you. You need to ask for it if you don't have it. Having faith in God is the most powerful thing that you could ever have. It really gets you through so many things. The only reason I was able to get through that ICU experience was because I have faith in God. And I have a whole video on how I emotionally got through it, so I'm gonna link that in the description box, not to make that video a second video about that. It's just so important to remember that you are not alone. God is in control. God is the creator of the universe. In the hard parts of life, I think the reason why I've had an easier time of motherhood is because I'm not expecting myself to be perfect. I am not expecting that everything's gonna be easy. And when I don't feel my best, I don't make myself feel bad about it. Like, every day is a different opportunity. Like, I think mom guilt is such a big thing. It's easy to see other mothers online, myself included. A lot of people are sharing their highlight reel. A lot of people are sharing the best parts of their day because they don't want to share. Either people are sharing the nightmares and the worst parts of their day, or the gloss over and the best parts of their day. So you're really not getting the full spectrum of what life looks like. Really, everybody is living on a high and low. Every day is good, bad, and indifferent. It's how we really take on those high and lows, and the good, bad, and indifferent is what our life really looks like to us. How we perceive the ebbs and flows of life is the life that we have. Because I could have 10 good things that happen to me and one bad thing, and if I let the bad thing overshadow the good thing, then to me, my life is really bad. I could have let that stay in the ICU define my whole year. I could have let it make me live in worry and fear and isolation, never wanting to go out because, like, what if I passed out at the steering wheel and whatever else? I definitely didn't do that. I trust in the Lord. I gave everything to God, and this is why having faith is so important. I gave everything to God. I trusted in God, and I have a whole video about how my 2023 resolution is to surrender everything to Jesus. Praying the surrender novena has been very powerful for me, giving everything to God and trusting that God will give me the graces. God chose you to be your child's parent. God chose me to be my child's mother. He will equip me with whatever that child needs. Am I going to be perfect at it? Absolutely not. And I don't have perfect expectations for myself, because I see that also the people that fear motherhood the most tend to be the people try to be like the perfect mom. There's no such thing. You can only just do your best. There's so many awesome resources that help you as a mother. I follow so many great Instagram accounts. I love taking care of babies. It really helped me with learning a rhythm and a schedule for me and Theodore, my son, and I will link their courses below. It was extremely helpful for me. A lot of people also fear tantrums and toddler time, and let me tell you, I'm not in that season yet, so I can't speak to it as much, but I definitely fear it. I see the hard aspect of being a toddler parent. Teddy was a fairly easy infant baby. Now that we're traveling into year 1 to to 2. There are some nervous feelings about tantrums and all that other stuff. But here's the thing, there's gonna always be hard things ahead, but there's also awesome things ahead. Like, I was so afraid of teething, and has it been easy? No, I don't love it, and neither does my son, but he's thriving. We've made it through. I've found products that work for him, that help him with his teething. He still sleeps through the night because of those products, and it's been a blessing to us. You cross the bridges when you get to them. You can't worry about tomorrow when it has nothing to do with your today. Those things have really helped me with my healthy motherhood mindset, not fearing motherhood. I also just want to affirm, because I'm talking about the negative things, that there's just nothing like, okay, so perfect example, talk about like what would be my biggest fear about being a mom would be like feeling terrible and not being able to show up for my son. That's like my biggest fear of a mom, because I have so many health issues and I live with chronic illness. For me, my biggest fear as a mom is I can't show up for my son, being lazy, and my son seeing a mom that doesn't take care of themselves and is just like laying around all the time. So far, that has not been the case. I'm so grateful to God that has not been the case, but every day I take it one day at a time. When I became pregnant, my worst fears were as close to being the reality as possible, because I got unexpectedly pregnant 6 months postpartum. But my first trimester, I was so exhausted. I literally felt like I could not get out of bed. I was so exhausted. The only thing that got me out of bed was a prayer to Jesus, offering up my day and saying, Lord, get me out of bed. And my son like yelling for me. That was the only things that got me out of bed. Did I make it work? Yes. Did I get through that season? Praise the Lord. Through the grace of God, I got through that season. I tapered my expectations for what I expected of myself. We have a playpen. I would lay him in the playpen, and I would literally lay in the couch or in my bed while he played in the playpen until he would call for me. I would take naps when my son took naps. I would some days wear my pajamas until my husband came home from work so I could go lay down and go to sleep. I just tried to survive through that season, and that's okay. You can't define yourself by different seasons and say, oh, I'm a lazy mom because I'm not getting out of my pajamas every day. Well, I was also in my first trimester and barely surviving, so no, I was not a lazy mom. I was doing the best I could with what I had on my plate. I think giving yourself grace and tapering your expectations, and also taking all the ebbs and flows, creating a healthy narrative around what that is, instead of being like, during that season, I'm a lazy mom, I'm a bad mom. No, I'm just doing my best, and I'm proud of myself for showing up for my son every day, and I love my son, and I'm trying to create special memories with the energy that I do have. That's all you can do. I hope this video helped you reframe the way you look at motherhood, because it really is the most beautiful thing in the world. Having my son smile at me, especially on those hard days when I'm really struggling with health or energy or something like that, having my son smile at me when I come into the room, seeing him just be so happy to see me, is the greatest gift in the world. Being able to hold my son and comfort him when he's having a hard time is the best gift in the world. Having him squeeze me back when I squeeze him is the best feeling in the world. I said this to my husband in the middle of a really hard season. We had just come out of getting out of the ICU, and my son still hadn't been sleeping through the night. And I said, motherhood is the hardest thing I have ever done in my whole life. It's so demanding. It makes me so selfless, but I have never felt more alive or more fulfilled. I have never found fulfillment in any career like I find with taking care of my son, and the love that I get from my son, and how much I love him. That self-sacrificial love, that love of a mother. There is no greater reflection of the Lord's love for us than our love for our children. And when you think about the Lord loving you as much as you loving your child, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. Please give it a big thumbs up. Please share this. You can find me on Instagram at Little Girl Arise. I share saints stories. I share Bible verses. I share a lot more about the faith and like different prayers. A lot of pray with me's on there. My main account is mostly focused on motherhood, and I also have a main